Hello, my name is Isaac and welcome to this Digital Skills School training. Today I'm going to be taking you through the process of being a UI/UX designer and a product designer. So the difference is not much, right? But those slight changes in your roles will more or less determine, how well you do in the career or the higher pay, right? But in most cases, a product designer already embodies everything a UI/UX person does. And a UI/UX person is someone who understands users, understands the process, understands the flow, how to interview people, get resources, and then convert those things into designs, which people can now use or which can be handed over to developers to produce. Whereas a product designer would be someone who knows all of those things and can now better fit in project management timelines into the project, right? So in a way, product designers tend to be much more efficient and much more self-reliant, right? So in the long run, product designers tend to make more, or could be able to push into higher levels compared to a UI/UX person. Both are lovely roles, right? But you would more or less need UI/UX before you become a product designer. Okay, basically I started jumping all over the place, right? So I was doing web, I was doing so many other things, right? And then I saw the whole idea of doing UI/UX as, especially UX, as something that involved problem solving, right? So I took it upon myself to understand the field quite a bit, right? And it became quite interesting because it was a bit of psychology and a bit of, getting to talk to people and understand issues or problems, right? Because that's what UX is at its core. So I started out there, and then over time it became interesting. I could come up with good user flows and all of those things. And then eventually, I would push this to UI/UX people or UI people generally. And the designs didn't really come out the way I wanted. So I decided to say, okay, let me pick up design as well, right? And then that was when I married the two together, right? And it became something that evolved from there, to becoming, being a product designer as well. The human mind is something that will never run out of creative ideas, right? So we have a lot of people that say AI. Even with the resurgence of AI and all of that, right? There's still a unique way of how human beings perceive things and create things that a computer would never be able to do, right? Which is where design comes in. There's some unique things that go on in the human mind that only designers can pull off, right? Not a machine, not anyone else, right? So it's still a field that is very, very lucrative. We still need people to interact with people, right? The computer can't just ask you some questions and figure out what is wrong. We need that human perception, we need that human touch, right? Because a human being will be someone who would come in, understand how you're feeling, and get deep into the questions before they could solve a problem. So these are still things that are very, very lucrative. UI/UX is still doing very well. Quite a number of people are in it, and it's one of the sort of easier fields in tech to get into, right? So it's a very good starting point because every product starts from there. And once you understand the product and how it works, then you can take it from there. So it's very, very lucrative. So the course outline would involve you going through a series of the UX process. So generally you understand what UI is, what UX is, how to marry the two together, also how to design and all of that. But the core of it will be the UX. You would understand how to do research, how to find, right? How to find the needs of people in the product and all of that. How to do research analysis, do analysis on your research, right? So what are the things I should actually design for, and what are the things I should cut out, right? So you learn all those things. Then you also learn about UX psychology, how people think, how people relate with your product, right? Then after that, we will now go into the UI principles, which is to understand those core fundamentals in UI, How do you create a color palette? How do you create a type scale? How do you bring in colors, illustration, images? And then we'll cap it off with a project which will walk you through the entire process, through the entire curriculum. Right? So it's then all this will be done using tools like Figma, Framer, Sketch, right? A lot of tools are available for you to use. Our core tool will be Figma, but you will also get to learn other tools along the way, which can speed up your process. Yeah, definitely. Right. Like I said, it's one of the easiest fields to get into, right? Because the limitations in UI UX is the barrier to entry in UI UX is even lower than other fields, right? Because all you need to come with is of being optimistic and having a creative mind, right? And everyone is creative, right? You just need to tap into that inner child that you have, and the rest is history. If you want to become a UI UX designer or a product designer, I don't think you should waste too much time. Check the link in the description below. You could sign up and you can get started today.